What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to tonight's late night agenda, where we are going to be boiling you know what and having a little bit of fun. I'm sure you guys seen the Manchester derby earlier on. Interesting viewing. Sets us up nicely for next weekend, of course, with Manchester City coming to Anfield to take on, hopefully, the future Premier League champions. And loads of other stuff to go through, considering we've had to listen to the cry-arsing for the last 24 hours from, well, basically everybody that's not of a Liverpool persuasion. I'm going to take you through why Sky and Mike Dean are fast becoming the TV equivalent of TalkSport. I'm going to be giving you guys my take on Liverpool's managerial search. We're going to be having a reaction to yesterday's media reaction, and of course everything else you would expect. So firstly, I hope you've all had a cracking weekend. Nice to be here with you guys again. And the last 24 hours have been hilarious. Honest to God, just seeing the mental gymnastics that so many pundits and media have tried to perform to make out like Liverpool were handed 3 points at the City ground. I mean, we'll go through it. You know the spiel yourselves. You've seen it all. What's your thoughts on the Manchester derby? First one, honestly, I thought Phil Foden was a class apart. Wonderfully gifted footballer. Don't like the fella, but can't deny his class as a player. Rashford's goal, absolutely phenomenal. But then United did what so many teams do when they play Manchester City, which is revert back into their shell, defend, look to try and counter, and invite the pressure on. And of course, City are one of the best teams in the Premier League, if not in Europe, about playing against compact teams who sit deep. You know, it's a bit like our Achilles heel, but Manchester City have always been able to find a way in games like that. So, didn't really expect much else, to be honest, after Phil Foden equalised. I knew what was going to come after that. But I guess it kept it interesting for a little bit, didn't it? Right, what did you guys make of the Manchester derby, by the way? And also, give me your take on the last 24 hours, because, I mean, once again, we've seen Match of the Day have their selective punditry and selective outrage. We had Mike Dean, of course, on Sky Sports talking about monumental errors. Monumental? Are you daft, you dim-witted little twat? Monumental errors. It's a drop ball. Taylor didn't turn around and shoot anybody. He didn't turn around and, I don't know, disallow a perfectly good goal. This is, it's hilarious. Honestly, it's hilarious. And it just makes me realise even more the agenda that is out there to try and undermine Liverpool at every opportunity. The fact that Sky, with a stray face, allowed Mike Dean to say it was a monumental error. Do you know what I didn't hear, though? Now, correct me if I'm wrong on this. I didn't hear Mike Dean, Sky, Alan Shearer, Jermaine Genius, Gary Lineker, or anybody else that was cry-arsing. I don't remember them getting as outraged for the incident where we didn't get the drop ball. It's almost like we got punished because we had the wherewithal to go and score. Whereas when it was the other way around, nobody mentions it. Nobody cares. Nobody spoke about the drop ball we didn't get. It's almost as if they're manufacturing a narrative to try and make out like we were gifted 3 points, let alone the fact it was 1 minute 59 seconds. The ball went out of play. Forest had the ball back twice, I think. It's honestly, absolutely, it's hilarious. I don't know, I'm not even angry about it. It's so pathetic that I actually find it funny. Craig, do you think you could do another collaboration with Leo's goals? Why is it always on me? Can I ask you that genuinely? Why is the pressure always on me to make these things happen? Leo's Goals has never invited me onto his channel as an example. So, you know, I've done my part. And again, love Leo, but I feel like I'm under pressure to get this sorted all the time. Whereas, you know, the offer has to extend the other way as well. Right. People saying Liverpool were cheating because the clock went 30 seconds over. Yeah, are they neglecting the part where the game was stopped when Canada went down? The game was stopped when Forest players were rolling around the ground. The game was stopped when the Forest goalkeeper had injuries that ranged from his head to his leg over the space of 2 minutes. Are they just ignoring all these? Yeah, again, every possible opportunity to undermine us is seized upon. And look, I want to single out Sky Sports in particular here, because they, over the past few months, and it's not just Liverpool fans, it's not just me, the amount of people I speak to who are tuning out of Sky, stop watching Sky, cancelling the Sky subscriptions because of the lack of balanced punditry and coverage of football is quite simply embarrassing from their behalf. They're turning into TalkSport TV version. It's pathetic. We can all see right through it. Stop again treating us like idiots. Honestly, the amount of people I've seen say Liverpool gifted 3 points. Excuse me? You what now? Gifted how exactly? Drop ball would have happened. Let's say the drop ball happened, right? Let's say Callum Hudson-Odoi got the drop ball. Most likely, one of two things happens there. Either he runs towards the corner flag and it becomes a goal kick or a corner, or he gets dispossessed and we go up the other end anyway. Everything that happened after that, Forest had multiple attempts. And do you know what I didn't hear? I don't hear so much fume about Nottingham Forest's owner being down on the edge of the pitch, being all aggro, looking to try and get the situation resolved. Because if I remember correctly, didn't we see a situation recently in Turkey where the owner of a football club was down on the edge of the pitch and then went and assaulted the referee? Where's all the fume about that? Where's the fume about the possibility of, a referee coming under unfair criticism, or the referee being threatened, the referee being intimidated? That would surely make for better coverage, right? Because that's a bigger story. Except that won't drive clicks because it isn't hatred towards Liverpool. And everybody loves to pile in on us. Only people who give us 3 points were Darwin and Maka. Yes. Oh, I'll throw Endo onto that. Because Endo, I've watched it back so many times and I still don't know how Endo managed not to foul the guy on the edge of the box. 9 times out of 10, that would have ended up in a free out and the game would have been over. But Endo had enough common sense and enough wherewithal to not force the foul. And then, of course, Maka got the ball. The rest is history. Chips it to Darwin. Darwin flicks it. We celebrate. Arsenal won at Luton, Craig. 8 minutes at a time. They scored 8 minutes, 30 seconds. Nothing was said. I disagree. A lot was said about how great Arsenal were and how they kept going to the death, which is the right way. That's what should have been said. But they like to change the narrative around Liverpool because heaven forbid we get any credit. It has to be a way to undermine us, vilify us and trigger people. Because that's all Sky and all these channels are doing. Match of the Day didn't even have enough of a balanced analysis to look at the same incident the other end of the pitch. Or to talk about the fact that Kanade was having to be a little bit careful as Forest players were going full on Cobra Kai and trying flying kicks. Doesn't get mentioned in the media though, does it? Because it doesn't suit the narrative. Oh! And Forest Fan TV, who I didn't even know existed up until this evening, they are a bunch of scummy clowns. Don't know what I'm talking about? Let me explain. They posted an image of the game, of the pitch, and they posted Liverpool fans. Let me just get the image up so I can give you the exact quotes on it. So, Forest Fan TV posted an image to say, Nottingham Forest fans sing to the Liverpool fans, sign on, you'll never work again. They posted the image and they tweeted it. They tagged Liverpool, they put in the hashtags, and I'm sure they thought it was hilarious, but again, tin pot. Imagine I did that. Imagine Anfield Agenda said that about Nottingham or another city. It's disgusting. Highlighting, boasting about the fact that they're belittling a city who, by the way, are in a better economic shape by my understanding than Nottingham. I think 14% unemployment in Nottingham to 6% in Liverpool. But again, neither of those are things to be laughed about. Both cities need help and assistance and nobody wishes poverty on anybody. But again, pathetic. Where's the fume about that in the media? Where's Sky's coverage of that? TalkSport's coverage of that? TNT Sports coverage of that? Don't see it because apparently it's alright to be little scousers, yeah? Hypocrites, the lot of them. Bunch of hypocrites. Any cheating in sport is shameful, but why does City get... I'm going to change your wording a little bit here, Harry. Applauded. And I got told deluded saying Szoboszlai better a football player than Foden. Look, the opinions thing we can't get into, but you're right. City are being lauded as these masterful underdogs who, haven't done that wrong. And certainly you wouldn't think it if you looked at the media coverage that they had 115 charges against them. But Liverpool get a drop ball and all bets are off. It's weird, isn't it? Alan Shearer and Jermaine Genius are two of the worst pundits I've ever seen, said Shane Buckley. Shearer is salty as you know what. Every time Liverpool get at him, he seems to have a bee in his bonnet just because we keep beating Newcastle. I don't know what to say. In his analysis of the game, talking about the drop ball, never once was it mentioned that it happened to us in the game as well. And Tierney gave the drop ball the exact same way, i.e. the reverse of what seemingly is the right way. Nothing mentioned about it. Where's the outrage? Sure, we could have had another goal there. You know, going off their own reckoning, if we had received the drop ball, everything would have been fine. So, where's the fume about that? It's absolute horseshit of the highest order. The whole lot of it, from start to finish, they're just all bitter twats, the lot of them. And as for the Forest fans, I don't know what to say. Like, if there was one club that should know all about not singing about Liverpool, what's happened in the past, all these type of tragedy chanting songs, undermining people's economic circumstances, surely they get it. But no, again, revert to type. Whenever we beat somebody, they go, same when we played Luton. Same scumbag singing, fuck off back to the Championship where you belong. You won a European Cup or two, brilliant. But you're a tin pot club now, your fans are a disgrace. Do you know what you should do? You should go and make Goldbridge the king of the Forest fans. That would make lots more sense, because then the bitterness would be clear and he wouldn't have to keep pretending the way he is. But hey ho, once again, I'll call out what the mainstream media hasn't got the balls to do. You're welcome. Anyway, let's get into some more recent events. Let's talk about Jurgen Klopp's take on the game yesterday. So, after the game, Jurgen Klopp was asked about the monumental error, and he said, it happened exactly the same way as it did in the first half, just the other way around. I expected it to happen exactly like that, because it happened like that in the first half. If it wouldn't have happened in the first half, I would have asked the question as well. I would now assume that is the rule. To be honest, I wasn't sure, because twice it happened, and twice it was handled exactly the same. So I don't really see the reason for it. And then he goes on to talk about the fact that it's consistency of decision making. Team Sharkmeg, how are you, mate? Welcome to Anfield Agenda FC. So, two things caught my eye over the newspapers in the last 24 hours. One about the managerial search. One about Liverpool's apparent interest, along with Manchester City, in Bayern Munich's Jamal Musiala. I'm going to talk on the Musiala one first, if that's okay, because I think it's an interesting story and one that was in the Mirror. So the Mirror say Premier League clubs, including Manchester City and Liverpool, are on red alert after reports emerged that Jamal Musiala has turned down the offer of a new deal from Bayern Munich. Now, look, it's fanciful thinking. There's a whole lot of stuff that we can argue back against to say we don't have a sporting director, we don't know who the manager's going to be, we don't know the transfer budget, but still, if he is available and if he doesn't sign a new deal at Bayern and they are looking to sell him, is it achievable for us? Or again, is this another Bellingham situation where if he does get sold, it'll be to somebody with deeper pockets than Liverpool? Because two players I know we'd all like the look of is Jamal Musiala and Florian Wirtz. So let me know your thoughts on that one. I love Jamal Musiala. Do think he's a great player, but do we need him? Do we have a spot for him? Maybe if Alonso comes in and we change the way we play, perhaps. But it is interesting because, again, this is another way to excuse me, look at the Bayern Munich situation and think, is it really a big, attractive proposition for Xabi Alonso? At the moment, probably not. There are a couple of players going to be leaving. They're falling away in the title race. Obviously, Leverkusen won 2-0 today against Cologne, making them 10-point leaders with 10 games to go in the Bundesliga. So, looks like Xabi Alonso's going to be getting and delivering the first Bundesliga title to Bayer Leverkusen. It's an incredible achievement, by the way. Wirtz, more gettable. Probably. But, ironically, the one who's always linked with Florian Wirtz is Bayern Munich. What formation do you think Alonso will play? Well, look, he's played two different formations. He's played a 4-3-3 and then he's played the 3-5-2, or however you want to describe the system he plays with Leverkusen in and out of possession. So he has used two different systems, one at Sociedad, one at Leverkusen, so I don't know is the answer. Ruben Amorim as well is another name that I wanted to bring up tonight, because also in the Sunday Mirror, they said Liverpool are continuing to do their due diligence on Sporting Lisbon boss Ruben Amorim as part of their search for the right man to replace Jurgen Klopp in the summer. It looks like it's a two-horse race for the Liverpool manager's job at this point. Everything I've read suggests obviously Xabi Alonso's the number one target, but Ruben Amorim is certainly mentioned as the leading contender, or the leading backup contender. Jack Howe, how are you, mate? And thank you for the super chat. Jack said, so happy we got the win yesterday, but the performance, if I'm honest, worried me a bit. Granted, we have lads out, but one shot on target's concerning. So there are some valid points to that, Jack. Let me try and respond as best as I can. We do have a lot of people out, as you've acknowledged in your message. The problem yesterday for me was more Diaz. I know that probably sounds a little bit harsh, but he was in position to shoot a lot of times in that game and always took an extra touch or was falling away when he hit his shot. You know the thing that he does where he cuts inside, drifts across the edge of the 18-yard box. Done that on multiple occasions yesterday, but didn't have his shooting boots with him. So, yeah, I get what you've said about it not being a great performance, but I guess ultimately, mate, it's the 3 points, right? And we need to show up next Sunday. We cannot play like we did yesterday next Sunday and expect to beat Manchester City. But we also have the potential of more players coming back. Mohamed Salah should probably be on the bench next week against City. I can't see him starting after so long out. Ryan Gravenberch could be back. We'll have to wait and hear from Jurgen on that. But we know Darwin and Szoboszlai are back available now. So bit by bit, I guess day by day, week by week, we're starting to get players back. But look, we can't underplay this. It is huge. Massive, that game next weekend. It is definitely a must not lose game. But even if we do, even if the worst came to the worst, I would say title race isn't over. What are we? 2 points behind them if we lose. Not the end of the world. I think we can potentially get that back, although it would, of course, take it out of our own hands. What's this? So apparently Nat Phillips is earning rave reviews according to James Pearce for his performances at Cardiff since going there on loan. So thank you, Mark, for sharing that one. Always good to hear that Nat Phillips is doing well. Pranav, how are you, my friend? Said, Craig, why do you think the club are always so vague about injuries? They never tell us the injury or the extent of it. Salah, for example. So I guess the first thing I'd guess at, and I am guessing because of course I'm not at the club, they are medical records first and foremost. So to some extent, I guess medical records do need to be kept private, right? They are somebody's private personal information. But I also agree with what you're saying. The club have been particularly vague in some of the stuff. Stefan Bajcetic's injury is an example of it, in my opinion. But I think we do have to remember, as I mentioned, it is medical records. So sometimes it might come down to what the player wants. I don't know. I'm trying to think of like my own medical records. You'd have to give the nod for the club to release any of this type of information, right? So I guess that's the answer. The more worrying thing for me, though, is why we seem to get some players back only for them to be out again very quickly. That's the more pressing concern for me, Pranav. But again, appreciate your comment. I thought City didn't play that well today, said Harry Klein. Well, weirdly, and I don't know if this is mind games or not, but Guardiola seemed to think that they played better in the first half than they did in the second half. I don't know if I agree or not. But look, one thing I'll say about that game, Harry, is we need to box in Phil Foden. We need to make sure that we keep him quiet because he's the player in form for Manchester City. And I think he's an incredibly gifted footballer. I don't like the dude. He's very easy to not like, but he is an incredibly gifted talent. And I tell you what, if I was an English fan for the Euros, you'd be looking forward to it with the talent that Southgate has at his disposal. But if we keep him quiet, I think we'll be alright. Haaland, well, I guess you've seen both sides of Haaland today, right? You've seen a miss that can only be described as a stunning miss. But then you see his moment at the end as well where he got his goal. Thank God we didn't get Sofian Amrabat, by the way. Can we all agree on that? Because he has been a whole big bundle of awful at Manchester United. Full throttle football on Sunday or more tactical, said Team Shark Meg. Again, I'd love to get people's opinion in the chat, but for me, it never works out well if you're too respectful of Man City. Look at United today as another example. For me, if you want to get at Man City, you have to go full throttle. It has to be chaos. It has to be 100 miles an hour in their faces, or else you're inviting pressure. They are one of the best, if not the best team I've seen at keeping possession, making you tired, dragging you around the pitch and creating overloads. We need to make sure that we keep the ball as much as possible, that we win every second ball, because that's one thing I wasn't happy about yesterday, is the lack of second ball winning. I think we weren't fighting enough at times. Maybe understandable because of the amount of players we've got injured and the amount of changes we've made, but we are going to have to be at it from moment one when the game kicks off next weekend. I'm so excited for it. I'm so excited but also nervous. What would your reaction be if Alonso brought Xhaka with him to Liverpool? I wouldn't be expecting him to be playing, put it that way. But yeah, no, I can't see it happening. But we don't want that, do we? That Haaland miss reminded me of Nunez. It was a bad miss. It was a bad miss. But look, strikers do that occasionally, don't they? I'm not going to sit here and start knocking Haaland or slagging him off, but it was a pretty bad miss. But look, we've seen our boy do it as well. What do I think about Sheffield United Arsenal tomorrow? I can only see it being a walk in the park for Arsenal. I mean, 4, 5 perhaps. They're in goal scoring form. Sheffield United look all over the place, and Arsenal look in absolutely great form, so I can't see past anything other than a handy Arsenal win. Luis Suarez, speaking about Darwin Nunez, and this is what El Pistolero had to say about Darwin Nunez's winner. He said, yes, I'm so happy for Darwin. I'm so happy for Liverpool. He's one of the best strikers in the world today. So there you go. Takes one to know one, right? And Mr. El Pistolero reckons that Darwin's one of the best strikers in the world. Weirdly, a bit of a weird stat here. James Knowlton posted after John Coleman was sacked by Accrington Stanley. So this means Liverpool's Jurgen Klopp is now the second longest serving manager in English football's top 4 divisions, Premier League and Football League. Pep Guardiola at Manchester City is now 3rd. That's mental. That is mental. And of course we know Klopp will be departing in the summer. Does anybody think, and I'm going to put this up in a poll, bear with me, I'll explain more in a second. Well, that would have all been great if I had have actually been typing it in, wouldn't it? Because I hadn't got the cursor over it. Right, I'm going to ask a simple question, because it's been coming up quite a bit in the media. Is there any chance Jurgen Klopp might change his mind? Now, I don't think there is, but I think that there is a move at Barcelona to try and change Xavi Hernandez's stance of quitting at the end of the season. And I've seen a couple of people suggest maybe, just maybe, Jurgen Klopp may have a change of heart. Now, look, I don't see it personally. I don't think it's going to happen. But I just want to gauge your opinion on it. And so, questions there for you to vote on. Craig, if we get Salah to get 30, 45 minutes and Darwin and Szoboszlai back, what do you think the score would be in the City game? It's impossible to guess. Honestly, I don't even know where to start. These games have gone from 0-0 affairs to 4-1, 4-2, high-flying, end-to-end games. If you push me for an answer now, 2-2. But I think we can win it. I don't think we lose it unless something mad happens, like a red card or something like that. But with Salah coming off the bench, I think 2-2 is probably where I'm at this moment in time, although I'm hoping for some more positive news around the likes of Ryan Gravenberch. The appointment of the officials are going to be important as well. City are nowhere near the level they've been at, said Lukey Boy. I agree. But then again, I have been saying that since third or fourth week of the season. They just don't look the same animal to me. And look, you can point to the comeback today. I think that was the first time Manchester United have conceded a defeat from a winning position at half-time in 9 years, I think they said on Sky. So, fair play for City for turning it round. But for me, I just thought United invited it. They capitulated. And once it got to 1-1, there was only ever going to be one winner there. So, look, and I don't want to take away from Manchester City today. Full credit to those players on the pitch. They turned it around, got a job done, and it'll fill them full of confidence going into next week. But let's be honest about another thing. On the face of it, before the game, United were 10-1 with the bookies to win that game. 10-1 in a Manchester derby. So that tells you the result is what we expected. And Foden had an incredible game. He is a really good footballer. And if I can't admit that, what's the point of me sitting here? Ultimately, we watch football for the great players. And he has learned, obviously, a lot from David Silva and the coaching of Guardiola. And he truly is just a wonderful footballer. He is. So we need to shut him up next week, from a footballing perspective, I mean. Rashford and Foden's first half, both amazing goals. Both of them, as you said, incredible strikes. Rashford's, unbelievable. Both of them, absolutely top-notch finishes. But yeah, Rashford after that, he didn't really do too well in the game, did he? Now, I think Ten Hag said he was still carrying a knock or something, but he seemed to be losing his footing a lot of the time. The shot that he swung at, missed, fell on the ground. On the incident where City scored their first goal, was it just me that felt that should have been a free to United? Now, I'm not trying to make it out like that was the change of the game. I still feel City would have went on to get the goals and win it. But it did feel like his ankle was clipped to me as he was running down towards the Manchester City goal. And to hear Mike Dean come on and say it was a coming together, I don't get that. How is it a coming together exactly? He either had his ankle clipped or he didn't. The coming together part's irrelevant. And if it was a coming together, I still feel it should have been a free kick. But again, that's shame on me for expecting a balanced level of punditry. Because even the referees they're bringing into Sky now don't seem to be able to have an ounce of professionalism. Outside of Dermot Gallagher, who is professional, I just disagree with a lot of what he says. For me, it looked like, and again, I've only seen this once, it looked like his ankle was clipped when he was running across the back of him. But maybe I'm wrong on that. And as I said, either way, I think it would have been a game City probably would have went on to win anyway, because United were just defending for their lives at that point. Do you think we should rest Darwin and Szoboszlai for Thursday's game? Oh, it's a tough one, John, isn't it? I was only starting to think about this earlier on. So, Sparta were in a derby today, a top-of-the-table derby against Slavia Prague. So I'm sure that would have taken a lot of effort out of them as well. It is a very difficult decision for Klopp to make for this game. Because, think of it this way, we've got them away from home on Thursday, then Manchester City, then we've got the home game against Sparta, followed by Manchester United in the FA Cup before the international break. Team selections are going to be difficult, and Sparta are no mugs. So, I don't think I'd start Darwin. Probably would start Szoboszlai. But yeah, I don't know. Again, it's just another huge headache for Kloppo ahead of a massive week. Tuka, thank you for your super chat, my friend. So, do you think we should prioritise resting up our players on Thursday so we don't risk anything for the game against City? It's a gamble, because if you are going to rest up some of the big players, you are rolling the dice that whatever the result in Prague, you can get it sorted at Anfield. Now, if it was a draw over in Prague, fair enough. But you certainly wouldn't want to be bringing a 2-goal deficit back, would you? And having to go to the well again to turn around another game. So I think the answer is probably stack the bench as strong as you can and put out a decent team and hope that if the worst comes to the worst and you need to do something from the bench, so be it. But if you don't, then rest the boys up and bring them back with us. Salah wouldn't be travelling anyway. I'd be telling him very much stay back at Kirby and keep getting ready for the game on Sunday. Opinion from the Madrid match and the masterclass from the referee. Didn't see it, mate. Sorry. I know Bellingham was upset about something, but I haven't watched the Madrid game. Would you rather win the FA Cup and Europa League or just the Prem? Just the Prem. Yeah. In Klopp's last season, now remember, we've already got the League Cup, so the Premier League in Klopp's last season would level us up with Manchester United on 20. So yeah. Actually, United on 19 or 20. Either way, that's the one I want this season. Because that would deliver a party, a moment for him, the fans, the players to come together and celebrate at the end of the season. So yeah, United are on 20. So 20 would put us right back level with them. It would put us 47 trophies to their 43. So it would extend the gap as well between us and United for trophies as the most successful clubs. So Liverpool currently on 46, if my memory's right. United on 43. So that would be another one in the win column. I wouldn't like to sacrifice the Europa League, of course, the final being in Dublin, but if you list the priorities this year, Premier League's number 1, Europa League's number 2, and then you can argue over the domestic cups. Would you take a draw against Man City? I think I will put that as a poll. 1 second. Let me just ask that as a poll. 1 sec. Right, same poll. Would you take a draw against City? Yay or nay? I'm not going to give you my answer until this poll takes shape because I don't want to try to sway the poll. So I want to read you something that Dermot Gallagher said about the incident, right? Because we've heard the sensationalist version from Mike Dean about the incident. The drop ball, the monumental drop ball, as I like to call it now. This is what Dermot Gallagher said. All it is an incorrect restart in law. The fact that Liverpool scored is a bit of a red herring because it was 1 minute and 50 seconds later, which is an entirety on the pitch. The ball comes forward, it goes back, goes forward, and even goes out for a throw-in. It's just an incorrect restart in law for me. It doesn't directly attribute to a goal. Who would have thunk it? Dermot Gallagher, the voice of common sense there, while Mike Dean, on the other hand, is saying, monumental error. Monumental. This from the lad who wouldn't send Anthony Taylor to the monitor because he didn't want his mate to get any trouble. Monumental. The only thing monumental here, Mr. Dean, is the fact that you were able to blag a career as long as you could at the top level and a job at Sky spouting nonsense. You are a monumental clown. What else we got in the chat? 1 sec. This from, I think James Pearce, certainly from The Athletic, said a section of the home support let themselves down once again by directing some risible and disappointingly inevitable chants that showed the distinct lack of societal awareness. It's not that some people won't learn, clearly it's that they don't want to. I think that was, excuse me, it was either The Athletic or The Echo, one of those two. I didn't put it in my notes, so apologies, I just clipped that up. But it's one of the two. Would I take Musiala would you say, other than Mbappe and Xabi's system? In Xabi's system, if he plays the way he plays, Leverkusen, Musiala or Wirtz would be the one you'd look at. A clown is right, Craig. Monumental. I mean, the choice of words, Rory. The way he's going on, it's like you'd swear that the ref dropped the ball 2 yards out from the Forest goal and we had a tap in. Like, did you see the video? I'm sure you've seen the video of the Forest fan saying things like, disgusting, disgrace, or something along those lines. Just kept repeating 2 words over and over and over again. But do you know what got me about that? It wasn't so much what he was saying, as in the way he said it. If that's him being angry, you know the video I'm talking about, I'm sure a lot of you have seen it. If that's him being angry, Jesus, I've had angrier indigestion than that lad. If that's him heartbroken after a drop ball, I mean, fair enough, but a bit weird. I agree with the clipping on Rashford, Craig, but what do you think about the tackle of Ederson on Garnacho? So, is this the potential penalty claim? So, 2 things about that in my opinion. Firstly, Ederson got the ball initially, no doubt about that. First one there, got a touch on it. Some people will argue it's the follow through then that does him. But somebody has to speak on behalf of physics at this point. Following through is part of a tackle sometimes, unfortunately, and I didn't personally see anything wrong with Ederson's challenge on Garnacho. I thought he got the ball and momentum follows him through, but he didn't raise a leg up or make a movement that looked like to me he was trying to hurt, foul or endanger Garnacho. So for me, I thought it was fine. Nothing there. Yeah, honestly thought it was a fine challenge. Alonso has 1 year left in Germany. Klopp could be persuaded to stay 1 more year while Alonso finishes his stay, and we might sign him next year. Look, we'd love Klopp to change his mind, but the man's not returning by the looks of it. And on this poll that we asked there, where you said, would you take a draw against City? I told you I'll give you my answer in a few minutes. Would I take the draw? Yes, I think I would. A draw against City still gives us a point lead over them. Yes, if Arsenal win the game in hand, that would then put them level on points with us. But they also have to go to the Etihad. So somebody is dropping points in that game. So it's either going to be Arsenal, that again would leave us on top, or City, which would leave us nearly in a head-to-head with Arsenal. And I'd back us over the last 9 games or so, or 8 games at that point when they go to the Etihad. I'd back us to get over the line. So I think I would take a draw if it was offered now. You know, you always want to win, but trying to just look at the whole layout of the rest of the season, I'd edge my bets that a draw might be enough. Or hedge my bets, I should say. Arsenal are 2 points behind and they have better goal difference. And I think I've made my points pretty clear. So if we got a point, they'd be 3 behind, win the game in hand, level, goes down to goal difference. But they still have to go to the Etihad. And they still have a North London derby against Spurs. Not easy games. So that's why I said, looking at the fixture lists, I think I'd take it. Especially considering the shape our squad is in. We've got to make that a factor in this as well. What's your opinion on the beautiful city of Boston? I don't know. Ask me after I travel over on the 22nd, mate, for the live show. Egypt FA should leave Mo alone. It's ridiculous, said Queen Nadra. I couldn't believe what I was reading when I seen the post from the Egyptian FA. Honestly, I couldn't believe it. I thought it was a wind-up. But how they don't think it's in Mo's best interests to give him a breather from the game against, I think, New Zealand, Egypt are playing during the March international break. The man's just played in a competition where he's injured, has played 35 minutes or 40 minutes for Liverpool since, or 45 maybe, hasn't been back. Yes, may play against City, but the wording of their statement that they released, and let me just read it to you in case you haven't seen it. it feels like once again, they just want a row or a drama. They said, we've already received a letter from Liverpool to exempt Mohamed Salah from the upcoming camp due to his injury. It's still too early to decide the matter, and if Mohamed Salah plays any match in the time before the start of the camp, we will adhere to his inclusion and he will be examined and the extent of his readiness determined by the medical staff of the Egyptian national team. Why not just ask Mo if he wants a little rest? Why not drag him all the way over to Egypt to be assessed and maybe fly him all the way back to Liverpool? How does that benefit anybody in this scenario? It is a nothing game. Let the dude have a rest. Let the dude get his fitness back, because, and I'm trying to be nice about this, him playing for Egypt has massively shafted us at times, whether it be coming back too early from an injury to play in a tournament, whether it be getting injured while playing in a tournament. It just feels like work with us and not try to make everything a big fight, row, drama. I'm sure the common sense can prevail here. Or, and I say this with a straight face because I am a shithouse, what I would do if I was Jurgen Klopp and they wanted to play silly beggars is Mo would have an injury 5 minutes before the end of the FA Cup game against Manchester United that would require him to stay behind during the international break to have that injury assessed, because clearly he was taken off and injured. That's what I'd do. That's what Ferguson would probably do. That's what I was sure Guardiola would do. That's what I think many people would do. But then again, look at the difference of how we were treated with Salah from the Egyptian FA versus Onana and Cameroon, where he was allowed to fly over the day before, whereas we couldn't even keep Mo for an extra day or two because the Egyptian FA were cry-arsing yet again. I don't know what to say to you. You're not endearing yourselves. Gary's Toe, thank you for your membership, mate, said up the Reds. Pranav said, it's no more injuries. Starting 11 versus City. Kelleher, Bradley, Ibu, VVD, Robbo, Endo, Maka, Soboslai, Salah, Elliott, Diaz, Nunez. Honestly, I'd make a slight change to that, and I'm going to revert back to what you guys have been saying. After Robbo's performance, I probably would go for Joe Gomez on the left-hand side against Manchester City. And then if we need something, put Costas on at the end in a far more advanced position on the left if we need to chase the game. I think Robbo's still getting back up to full, I don't want to say ability, but full fitness and rhythm. So I probably would go with Gomez on the left for this game. And as I said, if we needed to get something late in, then maybe bring Costas off. On with Craig, I can't take the Foden, but he's a brilliant player. He is. He's an outstanding footballer. Yeah, look, I don't like the dude. Can't take to him, but I'm not going to deny how brilliant he is. He's a really, really tidy footballer. Robbo misses Trent, said Coach Bill. Is there a way Liverpool can bill Egypt for the medical expenses? So there is a system in place, and I think we've seen it with Michael Owen when he did his ACL. There is some type of insurance system in place where clubs can, I think, put the claim in against FIFA, if I'm not mistaken. But that would have to be for a longer period and not just the hamstring issue that Mohamed Salah had, I think. But it is weird I don't want to say entitlement some countries have, because I guess technically they are entitled to call the players up. But I don't see how they think that this endears them to Mohamed Salah anymore. Like, surely Salah will want this sorted amicably, sensibly, and for the best interests of him, the player. You know, because sometimes I feel like that's forgotten about here. It's not good for Salah to go all the way over to Egypt to be assessed to come all the way back. It just doesn't make any sense. Any chance Gomez plays DM versus City? I hope not. By God, I hope not. I think we've seen the difference when Endo came on the pitch. Now look, full credit to Joe for his versatility and being game to play anywhere. But it was very, very clear when Endo came on that we were in a better position and we were playing the game better. And we were better balanced. We were more... I think we're about 10 or 15 yards higher up the pitch at times as well. But also, I guess, to be fair, Forest were sitting deeper at that point. Would you sell Robbo to PSG? I heard PSG want him. No, I'm not at a position where I'd consider selling Robbo. No. Others might be, because I've seen more of it in the chat recently, but I think the reason Robbo hasn't hit the heights is because it takes time to come back from that long out. And I think... it may be another month before we see the best of Andy Robertson. He had said, will there be a Klopp statue at Anfield? I haven't got a clue. They have to mark the man's tenure somehow. I don't know what the answer to that is, whether it's a statue, a gate, a monument, no idea. But a stand perhaps, but he should be acknowledged. Along with the other greats like Paisley, Shankly, Fagan, Dalglish, other managers and custodians of the managerial sea. So yes, he deserves it. I wouldn't take a draw because of the home advantage. If we beat Man City, people stop giving the league to Man City and it'll be a statement win. I mean, I get you, but there's no guarantee we get the win either, right? So I'm talking about a guaranteed 1 point. It still keeps it in our own hands roughly because City have to play Arsenal. And worst case scenario, we're in a goal difference situation then. But I do get where you're coming from, of course, and I hope we go for it. It's nice to get the better of City after 18, 19 and 2021. Well, we've got to get over the line and get it done, mate. That's the thing here. But if we win next Sunday, surely the narrative around the title race has to change a little bit. I have this weird vision of us beating City and somehow Arsenal going to the Etihad and beating them. That would certainly put the cat amongst the pigeons because then it would be a straight shootout between us and City, or us and Arsenal, excuse me, because City would be away at that point. They lost back-to-back games. I think Guardiola just focuses fully on the FA Cup and the Champions League then. I thought the cop was named after Klopp. No, it's named after the spying cop in South Africa. I think part of the Boer War, if I'm not mistaken, or a famous battle as part of the Boer War. Open to being corrected on that, as my South African history ain't great. But to the best of my understanding of it, I think wasn't there a battalion from Liverpool that were over there, fought in that war, and spying cop was a hill or peak, something along those lines. What else we got? Craig, you're correct. Thank you, Colin. I usually am. I usually just try to be humble, just to say, like, I'm not saying things as a fact, but most of the time I have a fair idea of what I'm rambling on about. I feel City the most vulnerable out of the three. They definitely drop more points. I think they're dropping more points as well. 100%. Oh, Barry, sorry, I nearly glossed over that. Barry gifted 10 Anfield Agenda memberships. Barry, you're very kind, mate. Thank you so much. What's this? Connor Mullen, thank you for being a member as well, mate. Colin, he said, would you start Dan's, rest Diaz, Gakpo on the left, Szoboszlai on the right, and Elliott behind? Would I start Dan's in the Europa League? Yes, 100%. Would I, what's the rest of your question? Rest Diaz. Okay, I'm with you. Gakpo on the left, Szoboszlai on the right. I don't know about Szoboszlai on the right. I'd probably rather Bradley on the right of attack even. Costas on the left side of the defence. What else is in your comment? Elliott in behind. Look, Elliott, I love him in the midfield role or the number 10 role. I think he does his best work there. It is weird though that we are really, really, really struggling for a backup right-sided player. Unless he wants to give Cade Gordon a run out, in which case I'd have no problem with that either. What does a gift of membership mean? It means that you get to use the custom emojis in the chat. It means that your name will appear in green to me in the chat. It means you get the Anfield Agenda logo beside your name. That logo will change colour the longer you're with us, in theory. Yes, and a few other bits and pieces, but they're the main ones. Makes me easier for me to spot your comments as well, because your name is green, so it stands out. Ryan White, so Liverpool 3, City 1, Endo and Szoboszlai, Thunder Cunts, hit like crack. I'd love it. I'd love an Endo goal against City. Oh, I'd love one. An Endo screamer from the edge of the box, that would be amazing. Who isn't in love with Endo? I mean, I'm nearly thinking about it when I'm shagging the missus at this point. I can't lie to you. I mean, I love him. I absolutely love him. Do I speak any other language other than English? Irish, maybe. Not really. No, I can speak cúpla focal in Irish, a few words. I can speak a tiny bit of French, better when I was in school. I used to be far more proficient. A little bit of German, but no, absolutely not holding a conversation in any other language, no. End out to score a Gareth Bale bicycle kick. Is it just me that feels we'll turn over City 3-0? Said Keane. I love that, Keane. I wish I was that optimistic, mate. With our full team, if we had Trent back, Salah had been back a little bit, and we had a full team to pick from, absolutely, I think we rip City apart. But at this moment, it's almost a case of let's wait and see the day before who's available. But yeah, I think if we were at our strongest, yeah, I think we could do a number on them. You did not just say that about Endo and your missus. Oh, no, I 100% did say that I almost think of Endo shagging my missus. I mean, do you want me to repeat it? Was it not clear enough the first time? I mean, I'm sure she's looking at me thinking about, I would say Darwin, but she doesn't really like Darwin. Probably Pep Guardiola, in all honesty. Craig, tough question. Who's your favourite player this season? And who do you think our best player is? Who's been my favourite player this season? That's Darwin, isn't it? It is Darwin, let's be honest. If we look at the moments now, Newcastle game, header against Forest, him. And what was the other part of the question? Who's been our best player this season? Probably Verge, Salah or Alisson, one of those three. But at this point, I'm probably saying Verge for the consistency. And also answering the critics as well, who thought that maybe, and I guess if I'm being truly honest, I was probably in the camp of thinking that we won't see the best of Verge again. You know, I'm not saying he wouldn't have a good level, but I didn't think we'd return to the levels we have with Verge. So, yeah, I guess I owe Verge a bit of an apology in that regard. Gomez must score. The cop will go bonkers. Again, imagine he scored the winner against City. Imagine the score sheet was Liverpool 2, Manchester City 0, with Endo and Gomez with the goals. That would be a near perfect afternoon. Have I missed it, or have the officials been appointed yet for that game? Because this is, to me, as important as who's available to play. Who the PGMOL put out. At least we know they surely won't be ballsy enough to put Tierney in charge of it after him reffing us this week. So they usually go to Michael Oliver, don't they, for these big games? But let's wait and see. When is Jota available? Don't know. The rough estimate in the media seemed to be about 2 months. So mid to end of April. I bet they live in Greater Manchester. Honestly, it's mad, isn't it, Ian? Like, I've said this to you guys for ages, but I've had this dream that UEFA have this central group of referees that they send out to Europe every week, and they mark the top 5 leagues, let's say. So the Premier League, the Bundesliga, Serie A, La Liga, and oh, I don't know, who's the 5th league, the Portuguese league or whatever, I don't know, it doesn't matter, but the top 5 leagues in Europe have a group of top tier referees that rotate across the leagues. I think it would remove some potential bias. It would give the players a more well-rounded view of what referees in Europe look for and how they referee games. And I think it would allow them to control consistency a bit better. Because it feels weird that we have referees in the league that every club, it's not just us, every club have 2 or 3 referees that they know have shafted them. And referees that, like Tierney with Klopp, have bashed heads many times. Or Hatzidakis with the elbow. I don't get it. I don't get why they seemingly have this unanswerable group, a cartel almost, in the PGMOL, who can do what they want without reprisal. It just feels weird. Do you think we beat City, and would you start, and who would you start, even if it means Egypt take him? I guess, would I start Mo? Yes. Would I start Mo? No. But would I play him? Yes. I can't see him starting the game. I can see him coming on 60. And after that, as I said, I'd shithouse the Egyptian FA, and I'd say the FA Cup game away, I'd take Mo off with 10 minutes to go because he was injured. And we have to keep him here to assess him. And if the Egyptian FA aren't happy with that, then the Egyptian FA can send their doctors over to Kirby to assess him, or shut the fuck up, is my stance. Hey Craig, hope you're well. Thank you. Mashed cabbage, appreciate you. Just want to say thanks for the videos over the last 5 years, Craig. Dots from Kilkenny living in Birmingham. Thank you. Never any reason to thank me, mate. As I said before, this is a pleasure. To be able to get to do this every day is, honestly, it's a joy. And finally starting to feel a little bit more human. I've been on antibiotics for the last few days and they're starting to kick in now and I can almost breathe normally. Thoughts on the Madrid game? As I said earlier, Luke, you probably weren't in the chat at the time. I haven't seen it. I know that there was some issue around Bellingham getting a red card or something, but I haven't watched the game, so I don't know what happened. I have a very tough question for you, said Keane. If you could keep one of either Maka or Endo for the rest of the season, who would it be? Endo. Because we have players who can play left and right side of midfield. Jones, Elliott, Soboslai, Gravenberch. I don't think we have anyone who can do the defensive midfield role quite as well as Endo. Although McAllister can do a job there. I've been broke over the last few years. Moved country twice, but wanted to say thanks. Mate, thank you so much, Dotsy. You're very kind. And appreciate you being part of the community. Like, I often ask myself where the years have gone. Like, to think we started this in, I think 2018, the channel put up its first content. The years have flown by, mate. Honestly, I don't know where time has gone, but look at the top corner of the screen. 246,251 subscribers. Incredible. So yeah, again, as I always say, never feel the need to thank me, mate. It is the honour of a lifetime that I get to do this and chat with you guys every evening. I wouldn't want it any other way. Does that assume we don't have them the following year? No, I think he just means if somebody was ruled out for the remainder of the campaign. That's at least how I read the question, Cap. Craig, to be fair, Gary Neville just defended us on his podcast. He said 1 minute 50 seconds is an age in football and way too long to be fuming about conceding. But the other pundits are a disgrace, and Mike Dean. Well, I don't remember Neville coming out and saying it earlier. Or I don't remember Neville quote tweeting the Mike Dean segment to say, disagree with this, you're very wrong. But fair play. And he's right. Common sense. As Dermot Gallagher said, like, it's an age in football. 1 minute 59 seconds. To correlate a drop ball to almost like a guaranteed goal, the way some people are trying. Some people, and I say this with a straight face, some people are trying to equate that to what happened to us at Spurs. With a straight face, they're trying to say they're mirror incidents. They're the same thing. How? One was a goal that we scored that was incorrectly ruled out by VAR, who didn't know what they were looking at or misinterpreted what the referee had actually awarded in the first place. And that's before we get into the 2 red cards. And the other one is a drop ball 90 yards down the other end of the pitch. That we scored a goal 1 minute 59 seconds later, with the ball having gone out of play, and I think Forest having had the ball back at least once. It's just fanciful thinking, and it's quite simply pathetic to have genuine pundits, people who've played the game, trying to make out like Liverpool were somehow handed the keys to the trophy cabinet. It's honestly, it's embarrassing for these so-called professionals. Hope you're great. Just a quick question. Do I enjoy darts? Oh God, yeah, man. Darts is awesome. So, growing up in my house, my dad got into football kind of when I got into football and coached some of my youth teams growing up. And, you know, that was amazing. But how I really bonded with my dad was over 2 things. Darts and boxing. My dad grew up, you probably heard the name Joe Egan a little bit in recent weeks, as he was calling out John Fury and stuff. Joe Egan, former professional boxer, fought under Barney Eastwood, was a very, very good friend of my father's. And I know Joe Egan since I was a child. Joe used to get me signed, used to get me pictures and then get me signed things from people, because Joe used to work for Delta Airlines when he was younger, and he used to send stuff to my dad for me from Paul McGrath and footballers that would come through the airport. And I think I've told you a story on the stream once before, that my dad brought me to the WWE when I was younger. But I said a friend of his was working security and brought us in. That was Joe Egan. So I've always been around boxing and martial arts my entire life. My dad was a black belt in Kung Fu. And that and darts. My dad was a really good darts player. Not like professional level, but a very good player. And ever since I was a kid, there was a dartboard in my room, and I played with my dad. Weirdly, he used to play on 19s all the time, but yeah, I love it, and I love seeing where the game's gone to, and I love that it's no longer the shh that it was back in the day in the Circus Tavern to the Premier League now and the World Championships. It's incredible. It's a real working man's game, working woman's game. I love it. It's amazing. Can't wait for the reaction if we beat City convincingly from rivals and pundits. I hope it's salty. Oh God, I hope it's salty. I hope there's a decision they all hate. I hope that someone's fuming. I hope that Pep's spitting like a llama and absolutely losing his shit. That's my hope for the game. A nice 97th minute salty winner. Craig, Spurs have to play Arsenal, City and Liverpool in a row. They'll have a big say in this title race. They will. But we owe them one. So I feel we're going to be motivated for the game against Spurs. And at Anfield, the way Spurs play, yeah, I think I can see us doing a job on Spurs in all honesty. North London derby, tough to see how these games go. But you are right, they will have a part to play in it. But City, their next 2 games in the league are the key. Us and Arsenal. That's going to be 2 big matches for Manchester City. Would you rather Endo or Fabinho? I don't know, because we haven't seen prime Endo yet. Like, he's only in a wet minute. Stop trying to compare him to everybody. Just enjoy him. It's weird questions. I don't understand this. Would you prefer this or that? Just enjoy the lads. We had Fabinho. He was brilliant. We loved him. Now we've got Endo. Let's enjoy him. And let's not, I don't know, wish them away or compare them. Both brilliant. Love both of them. Endo's here for the next few years, so let's get behind Endo. But like, I don't know what to say to you. I don't want to be an asshole or anything, but sometimes we are obsessed with comparing, contrasting, who's better, my dad's bigger than your dad. It doesn't matter. They're both Liverpool players at one point in their career. We got to enjoy them. And yeah, I love Endo, but I'll hopefully love him a lot more in 2 or 3 years when his time at the club comes to an end and we've had more great moments with him. So happy to hear that. Me and my late father always loved the darts and footy. Passed away when I was 12, but still here at 16 in my room watching you playing darts. Nice. There's something... I find it remarkable that the human hand-eye coordination can be trained so well that you can throw a dart, 3 darts if you're a professional, into a space this size from a distance away. It's incredible. Like, if you think of the accuracy involved in throwing darts, it's scary to think of how precise people can be. Craig, I got to a British school in Amsterdam and I saw Hendo touring the school. What should I say to him if I get to talk to him? Whatever, without being rude, whatever you feel like saying to him. You know, if you want to thank him for his time at Liverpool, thank him for his time at Liverpool. If you want to wish him the best with Ajax, wish him the best with Ajax. But I wouldn't be a smart arse to him. If he's being respectful to the school to be there, show that respect back to him. You know, we all have our own version of how he left, or our own thoughts on it. But ultimately, if we look at it just from his time at the club, I felt he led us with distinction and should be remembered as a great captain. The way he left was horrible, but that's another day's conversation. One of my favourite moments of the season was the way end the Spurs game. Seeing Haaland and Pep fuming was hilarious. That Spurs game still breaks my heart for us this season when Matip scored the own goal. I mean, scored, I say. That's unfair. He was... Unfortunately, the ball went in off him. I mean, nothing he could have done about it, but... Heartbreaking, lads. We nearly seen that one out. Like 96 minutes, was it, when that went in? The Madrid game was bad, Craig. Carvajal had a cross. He came out of the box after a corner, just about to cross it. Ref blew the whistle. The ball, half a second later, crossed the line and Jude scored. If the whistle's blown, the whistle's blown. But look, I'm not saying I wouldn't have been just as fuming. Remember, Mane was through on goal against United and the referee blew up for half time. Shithouse. So I get it. I understand it. But I haven't seen it. And Madrid are going to win the league anyway, so. Snooker's a harder game than darts. I don't know if I agree. Another game I love, by the way. If I ever had the money to buy a big house, I definitely want the snooker table in it. But I don't know if I'd agree it's harder than darts. I think they're both equally impressive when you see a 1-4-7 or you see a 9-dart finish. I mean, the patience and preciseness, I guess. I mean, if you ever played in a pro snooker table, the pockets are ridiculous. I remember I used to play out in Bray on the normal tables in a place called Star Amusements. And Michael Judge, who was a professional player who was from Shankill, played out there and they had one pro table. And one day I got to practice with him on there. And honestly, I couldn't get the balls into the pockets. It was ridiculous how tight the professional pockets are on those tables. It's crazy. What's my favourite song? Don't know if I have one. I think we have favourite things for favourite moments, for favourite time frames, for favourite emotions. Stand By Me is probably one because it was my dad's favourite song. We played it at his funeral. Champagne Supernova because it reminds me of happy days in my teenage years with my mates. We Found Love, Rihanna Calvin Harris. I think it's one of the best dance songs ever made. I like so many different types of music for so many reasons, so I can't give you an answer because I don't have one. Craig, you mentioned you like boxing. Ever watched MMA, UFC, McGregor being Irish? Yeah, I did, of course. Like everybody else, jumped straight onto the hype train for McGregor. But I've always been honest and said I don't understand the intricacies of MMA, particularly around the likes of jiu-jitsu and stuff and grappling. So it was never something that I really found myself being emotionally connected to. I appreciate greatly the skill involved and the different martial arts mastered by these athletes, but yeah, it never appealed to me in the same way as boxing. I don't know why. What goes on in training that caused Alisson to be out for months? It was a hamstring thing. I don't think it was really anything to do with training. Alisson seems to have had that issue recurring over the years, if my memory's right. I wonder if Calvin Harris will be on the bus again. Funniest part of all of that for me, Barry, was the Klopp had no idea who the hell he was. And said to him, usually I don't like that type of music, but that was okay. Thank God we didn't sign Amrabat. Yes, 100% yes. My God. Connor messaged me saying the same thing just after Haaland scored City's third. Shocking. So we said, would you take a draw against City? 54% of you guys have said no, and 46% have said yes. Close enough, that one. Close enough. Guardiola seems to crap his pants at Anfield. Do you think he does something unusual again? I don't know. I've no idea what to expect next Sunday. I don't know. Because they have this weird... I don't want to say bromance, but Klopp and Pep have this obviously mutual respect for each other. I don't know what happens next week, but I know it's going to play a big part in what happens for the remainder of the season. What I feel we need at City game is another loud Anfield. The players ready to fight all the way like they did against Forest, but play much better in general. What I think we need against Manchester City is a fast start. We haven't got 45 minutes to tease our way into the game. Like, we all knew yesterday that the plan there was to win it late at Forest. Now, not as late as we won it, but if you look at the starting 11, it felt like the plan was to stay in the game and try to win it from the bench in the second half. And I guess we did that. But we can't afford to do that against City. We need to, in my opinion, score 2 early and really, really put it to them. And then don't go back into our shell. Don't retreat. Don't sit deep. Be brave. Easier said than done. But that's how we beat City. Make it manic. Make it chaos. And use every advantage we can. The crowd, the dark arts, and every other way. It's so big. And I hate them so much. Like, I hate them so much that I really want this done. I can cope losing a league title to Arsenal as much as it will hurt. But my God, if I have to listen to the pundits talk about 4 in a row from City, I think I'm going to throw up. Barry, thank you, mate, for gifting another 10 Anfield Agenda memberships. You're very kind, mate. That's incredibly generous of you, Barry. Thank you. What's this? So, near identical current home records from Liverpool and Manchester City in the league. Both clubs played 25 games. Both with 20 wins. Both with 5 draws and no defeats. Goals for, 65 for Liverpool, 64 for City. Goals against, 21 for Liverpool, 20 for City. But there's one number that's not there, and that's the important number. 115, which is the amount of charges against Manchester City versus the amount of charges against Liverpool, which are 0. If we pressure Ederson, I always feel there's a mistake in him. I agree. I very, very much agree with you. I think he takes unnecessary risks at times. And yes, if Darwin is at it and presses, I think you're right. I think there's a mistake in Ederson. Craig, do you have a part of you which believes that City may get a result at Anfield? A draw. I can see how they get a draw. But for us not to get something from that game, it feels like something major is going to have to go wrong. A sending off or something. If it's 11v11 for 90 minutes, honestly, I can't see how we don't get at least a draw. We had a fully fit squad available. I think we definitely beat them. So do I, Zach. And quite comfortably, I should say as well. I totally get it with regards to the grappling. It can be rather boring when a fighter just crotch sniffs his opponent for 15 minutes. But when they let their hands and kicks loose, it's pure violence. Oh, absolutely. And I'm not underplaying, Tommy, the importance of the grappling either. As I said, I don't understand the intricacies of it. Why they're moving to get in a certain position, why they're looking to isolate one particular part, what they're looking to set up. I just don't get those things. So I feel like I'm just watching men grappling or women grappling when obviously there's far more technical work at play that I just don't understand. Do we know the ref and the VAR for the City game? I don't think we do yet, Studley, no. I was asking that earlier on. I was expecting an announcement, hopefully, in the next day or two, usually ahead of the game. It's such a big game, though. I guess the fact that we have to go over to Prague on Thursday gives Jurgen some big questions to answer as well around team selection. Do you think we'll get more decisions now with the possibility looming of Liverpool suing the Premier League? There's no possibility, Loon, that I'm aware of Liverpool suing the Premier League. Not over what you're speaking about there, the Spurs game. I don't see a lawsuit in the future on that. I think the explanation given was that it was a human error. I think you take that in good faith. The question is, have they learned from it? Now, that's the real question for me around the whole incident in the Spurs game. They are human. People make mistakes. We've got to accept that. But this year for me feels like a year where football fans in general are seeing through some of the BS a bit more. That BS can be Fabrizio Romano, the way Sky report things, the narrative being pushed by some people, the punditry not being of the calibre and professionalism we're used to. It feels to me like mainstream media outlets are trying to do what fan channels and fan content do without the real understanding of why particular levels of people and fan content work, which is sincerity, which is people being able to see themselves in somebody. The whole thing with Florian Plettenberg for me over the Bayern Munich job and Xabi Alonso, that was a real wow moment for me. Seeing without any hesitation the attempt to manipulate the narrative and the opinions and the thought process of the footballing public without it being factually backed up. It was horseshit. It still is. I think this year football fans have seen a lot that they don't like in the game, in how it's shown, in how it's reported, in how it's officiated. And if they aren't careful, those who govern football, they'll end up destroying what is an incredibly lucrative, an incredibly popular, an incredibly beautiful game for greed yet again. And Sky seem to be trying to drive a narrative of anger, because we all know anger means more clicks. Happy stuff doesn't get people as enthusiastic to click buttons or comment as driving an angry narrative. So if you ever wonder why certain fan channels, outlets, journalists, whomever, write in a very provocative style, the answer is because it drives clicks and it drives emotion and it drives human interaction. But I'm seeing more people being able to start to see through that, which is refreshing, because if there's one thing I've said consistently since I've started this channel is stop taking football fans for idiots. Stop treating us like animals and stop taking us for idiots. And stop taking us for granted as well. The amount of football clubs who are taking the piss now. £2,000 Todd Bowley had the barefaced cheek to charge some people for a ticket to see Chelsea against Leeds United. £5,000 for the Manchester United game. This is insanity. And that's why people are getting dodgy boxes and buying fake shirts. It's greed and it's never ending. It's in your face and it's brazen. And football fans aren't idiots and they're starting to see through it. This season we've a better high scoring average than City and better defensive XG. I wish Curtis Jones was fit. Yes, it would be nice. Has anybody heard on Gravenberch though? Because remember we were told 2 games minimum. It's important we remember the word minimum there. But I think it'd be nice if we had him back, at least in the squad in contention for the City game. Football is ruined. I don't think it's destroyed fully yet, but you will all have friends, family members, acquaintances who've said to you at times this season, I don't know if I feel the same way anymore. I don't know if I can keep watching this over and over again. You know, when you see stuff blatantly happening in front of your eyes that you know is wrong and feel helpless, that's not a great feeling, is it? And so many football fans feel that way at the minute. What do you think will happen with City and their charges? I struggle to see them getting relegated or suffering any major repercussions. Truth, Tommy, I've said this many times, but I really have no idea what to expect. And the reason I think it's fair for us to say we've got no idea is it's unprecedented. Never in my, what am I watching football now? 34 years watching football. Never in the English game I've seen anything remotely as brazen as this if City get found to have lost their appeal on those charges. Some or all of them. It's potentially the biggest, as that documentary I keep asking you to watch, the biggest scandal in sport in England in my lifetime. And the fact that it isn't being discussed enough in the mainstream media on a weekly basis is sickening. And I'd ask Sky and TNT Sports and anybody else who wants to just laud and fluff Manchester City week after week, do you think that that's what the football public want to hear? Do you think that United fans, Arsenal fans, Liverpool fans, doesn't matter, Wolves fans, do you think we want to hear how great Manchester City are or how what they're winning is unprecedented? No. We want you to do your damn job and investigate and report and give a balanced understanding of what's happening. Because it's pathetic and it's soul destroying. Because we all know what it's built on. We all know it's horse shit, just like PSG. I know this is a tough question, but what amount of points do you think Liverpool, City and Arsenal will end up with? Right, so we've got 11 games to go, 63 now. I think 91 points for Liverpool. I think that wins you the league. There's the link to the documentary. I'm going to pin it to the top of the chat, just in case you guys do want to watch it, because I've said this before. It is free to watch. It is extremely well researched and presented, and it's a documentary I think all football fans should watch. It's called Britain's Biggest Football Scandal, and it lays it out far better than I or any other fan could explain it to you. How come, as a very fair question, Sky are more concerned about drop ball than 115 legitimate charges? I've explained that to you. Because anger, frustration, fear drive clicks. That's why. Sensationalising against Liverpool is going to endear them to all the anti-Liverpool brigade, and it's going to trigger the Liverpool fans. That's why. That's why they do it. Same way, as we said, you don't see them reporting about the other drop ball that was done the exact same way against us in the same game. Doesn't get a mention. Didn't get a mention on Match of the Day. Doesn't get a mention on Sky when they're talking about it. Because that would be admitting that their whole hyperbole around this incident is nonsense. Because it's nonsense. It's placating these idiots that think that drop ball equated to a goal. You are feeding the morons. You're rewarding stupidity. But then again, I could go into a rant on this that goes all the way down to certain content creators that are being put onto Sky. You know who I'm talking about, and you know the nonsense that they come out with. Rewarded. What they should be is laughed at, vilified, shunned. But no, reward them. Because they'll say stupid shit that gets a soundbite, that gets a click, that drives a narrative, that provokes emotion, that makes money. That's the circle of content life. And that's the truth. Yeah. I wish more people would just speak what they believe to be truth to power. Because too many people playing the game, too many people afraid of being shunned or having doors closed in their face. Make your own door, or kick the fucking door down by building your own platform and giving your opinion and building your own set of followers. The wrong people in this industry have been rewarded over and over again. Any of us can say dumb shit. It doesn't take a genius to say stupid stuff. Why reward it? Craig, how do you rate Jurgen Klopp on a scale of 1 to 10 based on his Liverpool career? How would you rate Jurgen Klopp on a scale of 1 to 10 based on his Liverpool career? You've asked me the same question twice. 9. I think there are things I would have liked him to push back against the owners a bit at times. Maybe a bit more pressure with regards to transfer fees at times. But ultimately, if you take it over a 9-year period and you look at this being the last year, he's played a blinder. You know, leaving the club in a position where not only has the next manager got a good first team, but we've already seen the quality of the youth. You've already seen the quality of the next set of players to come through. So, yeah, he's played a blinder. And we're extremely fortunate. You know, best manager of my lifetime. Love him to bits. Yeah, just amazing. All of it. The whole journey. Incredible. Never seen as many emotional moments as we've had with that crazy German. And I mean that in a loving way. Yeah, just brilliant. Love you, Craig. You've helped me so much in my anxiety and depression. Daily await your late night agenda. You're not just a guy in front of a screen. You're now part of my daily life. That means more than you'll ever know, mate. Honestly, to all of you that say kind things like that. Yeah, it means a lot. Especially for somebody like me who's not that confident and certainly not that outgoing. Means a lot. Thank you. On that, I'm going to go grab a shower because I stink. So I will catch up with you wonderful people tomorrow, 4 o'clock, early stream, 8:30, late night agenda. And do check out today's match reaction over on Top of the League as well, where I give you my thoughts on the Manchester Derby. Would love that. And also, if you haven't subscribed to our Clips channel, please do check out Anfield Agenda Clips, which is doing really well over the last while. Appreciate you. Don't forget about the Boston show as well. Tickets available with the link in the description on Ticketmaster. Much love. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening, folks. Thank you for your time. Appreciate you. Love you all to bits. And